Welcome to the talk. A few hours ago, the White House National Security stated that the time is running out to avoid war with North Korea. It was reported that U.S. forces is scoping sites for possible interception of North Korea missiles. We all know that North Korea has been making nuclear tests and long-range missile tests and threatened that they can reach anywhere in the United States. And the U.S. has been working with other allies to sanction North Korea. But it appears that the escalating tensions is getting worse, and we do not see a way to avoid a war. U.S. has been asking China to put pressure on North Korea, and China did not like to have a nuclear neighbor either. So gradually, China was moved to the position to support the sanction. But China was still against military strikes. The issue is that should the U.S. attack North Korea? Clearly, there were verbal exchange of threats. But other than tests that hurt nobody, there's no actual events that triggered war. Now, let's talk about, is there a way to revert this process? I think that the key to the solution is on the United States, not in China, right? Not in other allies. Maybe you can say, no. U.S., the solution is to maybe surgically remove Kim Jong-un, or maybe have a special force to remove or bomb the nuclear test sites. Clearly, if that happens, North Korea will retaliate and maybe attack on South Korea, maybe Japan, or maybe United States. What should we do? Let's look back what happened in the history. There have been many wars, and all those wars that I have studied was a result of intelligence lacking in the government. Let's just make one example, the Second World War. After Germany lost the First World War, and he was forced to pay war reparations. It's very heavy. Then the Germany people was living in a very severe economic hardship. This is the environment that give Nazis the opportunities to grow the force of resistance and even to take over the power. At that time, there was a certain degree of democracy, but gradually, we know that there are serious events that happened in Germany. Finally, Adolf Hitler was voted in to be the person who can start war. Now, if we continue allow this process to happen in North Korea, and North Korea is already in a situation of a single person that can do anything, and the sanctions against North Korea has already created economic hardship in North Korea's daily life. And this is very similar to what's happening in Germany before the Second World War. I don't think that sanction is a solution, because no matter how you sanction the North Korea, Kim Jong-un's life still have enough supply. What suffered was his people, the North Korean people. And if you put too much pressure on North Korean people, then any world action, even without military strike, we can see something that might happen just like Second World War. Then you can see, oh, no, that's the only way that we must fight a war. We win the Second World War, right? Think twice. The cost of the war in terms of human lives, in terms of loss of developmental times, and in terms of the economy. Is there another way that can revert the process? Now, I'd like to propose to you, don't do personal attacks. We need to observe the Robert Rules of Order. Robert Rules of Order forbid personal attacks during discussions. What do we mean by personal attacks? If you attack the speaker's background, education, national origin, race, motive, all those are personal attacks that are not related to the issue itself in the discussion. Now, if you make comments in the video sections, and I appreciate it if you do not attack my person, but rather address the issue itself. Right? If you do a personal attack, I will not respond. I will remind you this is a personal attack, but I will not attack back. My position was that U.S. government does not have enough brain science. We are slaves of our brains, and our brains, in many ways, are short-sighted. What happened in the Second World War clearly demonstrated that the brains of world politicians are not sufficiently smart. And that's in our mechanisms, how the brain works. Now, let's see an example, all right? How the Cold War ended. Hey, that's the Western world that win the war. But the Cold War, there's no life exchange of military action at all. It happened from within. But how it came from within? I respectfully propose to you, and I know that's very, very controversial at this point, but let's start healthy discussion. I think after a series of studies in terms of the world history and in terms of how the brain works, including our computational power of the brain, I think that the Cold War ended because that was the Richard Nixon who visited China in 1972. At that time, China is just like North Korea. It has nuclear weapons, and it does do nuclear tests, and also it made many missile tests. And the reason that Richard Nixon visited China was probably because at that time China was having ideological debate with Soviet Union. Probably Richard Nixon tried to put a wedge between China and the Soviet Union. Mao Zedong at that time was surprised, but he was still saying that internally, this is a bourgeoisie's politician, and he wants to come, and we should not be too warm, and it should not be cold. And let's see what he has to discuss. But this is exactly the triggering event that ends Cold War, because United States and China established a normal diplomatic relation. And of course, Soviet Union was not happy, and that's one more reason that Vietnam had provoked border events with China, and China invaded Vietnam in a brief border war. Of course, there's another reason, because Vietnam sent troops to Cambodia. But this process gives an example that the East Bloc can disintegrate. So the people in East Bloc start to think differently and act differently. And friendship from United States started the process that eventually caused the fall of Berlin Wall in 1989. Although there's pretty long process, that's 17 years, but this is the time that required for gradual change. Through these 17 years, there were many events that happened, including what happened in Taiwan, right? Taiwan and ended martial laws. So we need to look back what's happening and see how Britain responded to friendship gestures. And even the East Bloc can disintegrate. They can think twice in a different way. And the same principle applied to North Korea. Currently, North Korea is like the baby. They want attention. What North Korea wanted was that to have a friendship treaty with the United States and establish a normal diplomatic relation. And the United States said, no, you must stop first, stop nuclear programs. That's how ended the possible process in the right direction. Why we had that situation? Because in the United States government, just like anywhere in the world, lacked brain science. I'm not saying that United States do not have researchers that work on brain science. What happened was that the government officials do not think brain science should be part of the politics. They thought that they know how they feel without knowing that they are slaves of their brains. I'll give you an example. Suppose somebody was attacking Donald Trump's personality, say you harassed women, and immediately serotonin was created, synthesized in Donald Trump's brain and diffused into many areas in the brain. And the effect of the serotonin was such that those neurons that has a receptor of the serotonin, they tend to win in the competition. So basically, in normal situation, you never have anger. But if somebody said bad things about you, and why you suddenly feel angry, and your blood pressure increase and your heartbeat speeds up, because this is the action that corresponding to the anger. If you know that this anger is short-sighted, give example, if you punch back, then of course he will retaliate. Then you end up with a fist fighting. Fist fighting between two people, probably get only bruises and go to hospital probably. But between the country, your people suffer. Many lives will get lost. And many taxpayers' money, much taxpayers' money wasted. So the brain science in terms of the government officials is even more important. So I proposed to the US government that the key to the solution of North Korea tension is on the US side. And I understand that's not that easy. Donald Trump started to have a friendship gesture with North Korea. He said something that's diplomatic at a certain point, but we should have patience and we should agree anything can be on the table, including friendship treaty, including normal diplomatic relationship. Don't put any precondition. And on the surface, if North Korea want to make a provocation again, just treat him as a baby and don't respond. Then the United States has some channel with North Korea and propose to have a talk and work towards establish normal diplomatic relations, and even had an announcement for a friendship treaty. I think that's the most effective way to resolve North Korea tension. Sanction is not a solution, and the sanction has caused Second World War. And let's forget sanctions. All right. It's not intuitive at this point, and I will talk about how the brain works and how it's related to group intelligence, and in particular related to word products in the later talks. Thank you very much.